Welcome, my name is Splinter, where I debunk bad arguments, not bad opinions, and I thought I was done. I'd rant to myself about it, rant about it on my Discord, and thought that'd be it. But no, something about this video lit a fire under me. I want to talk about it. Maybe it was his tone, or maybe it was my love of the Joker film. Either way, I'm doing a video on it. And, of course, just for background, I do love Ralph. I've been a fan of his for years, but this video makes me want to rethink my opinions on him. And just for argument, no. After thinking this over, this video is not a parody. At first I thought it was, but over time and by breaking the video down, I've come to the conclusion that it isn't. Don't worry, I'll be showing this to you as I go along. And I mean no harm to Ralph. I just hope that he improves in the future. This is all in good fun and fair criticism. And yeah, I know I'm late compared to others like Cool to Hate by That Other George and Roasting Ralph the Movie Maker's Joker review, Longbone, and as I'm writing this script, EFAPT is doing a response to it, and they took my title, but I still love you, Daddy Muller. And some Russian guy?
Half the movie maker, he said that the Joker is not original, the Joker is not groundbreaking, and maybe he's right. The Joker is a character study, but it's not the first character study to be made. If you look around, we have movies like Taxi Driver, another character study.
I don't understand what you're saying.
In 2016, universally acclaimed actor Jared Leto took on the role of the Joker, and he gave one of the most memorable performances of all time.
You want no beef? You don't want no beef? You don't want no beef?
You don't like me?
We're gonna miss you, Jared. I have a very cynical opinion of Joker. It's so cynical, and you can tell I'm annoyed that I have to watch the movie. You guys could kind of tell with the Aquaman video. Oh, they're really running out of ideas, aren't they? But you can really tell with the Joker one.
Oh good, so you do realize this. So that means you're going to dial it back, right? No? Oh well.
That was added in posts. That looks like CGI. Come on. That looks like CGI. Was that even necessary? Some producers are like, oh, you gotta make it more dramatic. He's gotta crack the window.
Of course it's CGI. Do you want the actor or actors to injure themselves? Also, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call nitpicking. The term gets thrown around a lot, but this is a good example of it. Sadly, this is something Ralph does through this review, if you can call it that.
People are so, defensive about it because it's a comic book movie. I wish this movie was about incels. At least it wouldn't be so boring. At least then I could have related to the film.
This is yet again where he doesn't understand the film. People aren't defending it because it's a comic book film. People are defending it because it's the opposite of a comic book film. It takes it and flips it on its head. But sadly, this is a trend throughout the video. He believes like it's every other DC comic book film, but whatever.
It's such a shame no one can give their honest opinion of this movie without having a bunch of children on the internet gang up on you. And people harass me about these DC movies. I'm harassed about my opinions on them.
Wow, woe is me, the life of a successful YouTuber is hard. Also, this is what leads me to believe that this isn't parody. A parody, he wouldn't set up an argument like this. He would just be pure jokes.
Todd Phillips has always been a comedy director, and some of the character writing and scenarios in this film feel so simplistic, it's like out of a comedy. Joker is in the subway, and 3 guys are there, and they're bullying a lady, and then the guys bully him. They hit him with the sign. They beat him up.
How is that a comedy? People get beat up all the time. Also, in King of Comedy, some scenes are just 2 guys calmly sitting down and talking. And your point is?
All of these bad things happen to him all at once. The King of Comedy is far more subtle in how it portrays a character like this.
Yes, him talking to cardboard cutouts is subtle. It's not like you need a big brain to understand the movie, Ralph.
He doesn't actually interact with human beings because he doesn't have friends. It works out for him with Rita, and you understand why she likes him.
You don't understand what a shot on Langford means. That's coast-to-coast national TV, a bigger audience than the greatest comedians used to play to in a whole lifetime.
All of this was more believable and interesting than what they do in this movie, which she's basically just added in because there's literally no other female characters in the movie that are interesting or fleshed out in any way.
Yeah, because most of her interactions with him aren't real, hence why she doesn't get a bigger role. Why am I even explaining this?
There's the Joker's mother, which is basically an exact copy of the relationship he has with his mother in You Were Never Really Here, except they add in this whole, like, Bruce Wayne was your adopted father thing, which isn't real.
1. What does this matter to the film? 2. Just because it's from another movie doesn't mean they ripped it off. 3. If you have someone who's never seen it before, they're going to not think it's a ripoff. There is probably another movie that has the same relationship, and then that is taken from another movie with the same relationship, and that's taken from another movie from a relationship, and so on and so forth. This argument is a never-ending cycle.
So she walks in the room, and she's, oh my god, it's the guy from next door. And right there, it's obvious what happened. Oh, he imagined the relationship with her. I guess that makes sense because he's a weirdo. But then, because this movie is made for the 14-year-olds who thought Batman vs. Superman was a ground... And then, because this movie was made for the same demo as the people who liked Batman vs. Superman...
This is the definition of not knowing your audience. One is a CGI shit show with the plot equivalence of throwing action figures together, and one's a calm character study. How on earth can you believe these two are related is beyond me.
Don't ignore him. He's being nice to you.
Oh my god, the acting is so bad. Don't ignore him. He's being nice. Like, what are these, cartoon characters?
It's because they're drunk.
That's the thing with the tone of this film. Is it trying to be realistic? It feels like it's set in like some grand kind of DCEU.
Grand? How? This is a self-contained story.
But if you're trying to make a real film, like an art film, then throwing in these connections to like Bruce Wayne's parents and having these cartoonish characters who say dumb dialogue like,
Is something funny, asshole?
Really? How? How is that bad? You're saying nobody has ever said that before? What?
And the new thing to do now, when someone gives an opinion you don't like, is to say, oh, well, Ralph the Movie Maker, he has a bad take.
Yes, that's what we say when people like you have a poor way of expressing your feelings about a film. And I'll even title the video this, just to piss you off a little.
I want to delve into the metaphors and allegories of Parasite. You call Joker corny, meanwhile you watch Mr. Robot, which is way cornier.
Look, every time you bring up a different film or TV show instead of actually crafting a good argument, a puppy dies somewhere.
You know, Mr. Robot has, like, dimensional characters in it. That psychiatrist character, Krista, in Mr. Robot, she actually, like, does things in the plot. She has a life outside of our main character's story. She has a personality. In this movie, what does the psychiatrist character do? Oh, she just regurgitates what the themes of the movie are.
And that's a TV show with multiple characters with multiple hours. And Joker is a character study about one character. Let's just say she has a family and a life going on just for the sake of argument. What would that add to the story? After all, this is a story about Joker. You know, the protagonist and the title of the film.
If every character was just an asshole for no reason, then I wouldn't watch the show. Oh, Ralph, you just don't get it. The entire ending was a dream. That's like the go-to textbook fan theory when a movie's over. It's like, Joker had dreamlike logic, even though every movie has dreamlike logic.
Again, what do you mean by this? I'd love to hear you elaborate.
Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father, who's just a cartoonish dickhead, punches Joker in the face.
How? Arthur stuck his fingers in his son's mouth, came to his home uninvited, strangled his butler, which you happened to leave out, and snuck into the restroom. Of course he was gonna punch him. This guy's crazy.
Jerry Langford was way more realistic in how he dealt with Rupert.
Rupert Pupkin at worst is a weirdo that idolizes celebrities. Well, that's normal. Granted, the extremes that he went through is uncalled for. But at first sight, he's normal. On the other hand, Arthur is literally crazy.
Yeah, I would physically assault some poor man because he talked to my son through an iron gate.
Again, he did much more than that, which you seem to be ignoring, but whatever.
Joker's other supposed father figure, which is Robert De Niro. And the only way this ending is able to happen is through this completely unrealistic set of circumstances. So Robert De Niro has a bit on his show where he's watching the Joker's stand-up.
You can say that again, pal.
Robert De Niro starred in both Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. The film wears its influences on its sleeve.
You're saying it's a bad thing? Because if I were to take your point of view, the point of view of thinking Joker's a bad film compared to King of Comedy and Taxi Driver, why is that bad? If anything, you ought to credit it for its influences. Because this is what you wanted, right? But I guess not.
Because he wants him to talk to him on the couch. And of course, this same guy also happens to be famous for killing the 3 people on the subway, which even though it's a random killing, has become a beacon for this movement to take out the richer class.
No, this is factually wrong. The movement is because Thomas Wayne called them clowns.
What a coincidence. I guess it's some of that dreamlike logic, right? They would just invite this random guy on there to talk on the couch and not check him for weapons.
Remember, this is pre-9/11. Things were much different back then. Also, of course they'd invite him on a late-night talk show. They do this all the time.
Oh, Ralph, you just don't get it. The whole ending was just a dream. Every character in the movie is just an asshole and a liar and ignores Joker, deceives Joker, steers Joker down the wrong path because it has to reinforce this message that society is bad, society is bad.
Not true. The midget, his mother, his fake girlfriend, there are people in this film that are nice to Joker. Besides, it all enforces the theory that this whole thing is a story made up by Joker.
Yep, the movie had a huge budget, you can tell, because any artistic integrity or originality is completely removed from this film.
And girls and gals, we have our reason as to why he hates the film. Not because of what's actually in the film, but because of the fact it made a lot of money.
Taxi Driver and King of Comedy are so tight, they aren't bogged down in scenes that need to extend the universe of the film.
How? What? There's like a handful of scenes, if not less, that has Bruce and his father. How is that expanding the universe?
Travis and Rupert are active in the stories. It's Rupert's and Travis's character and actions that cause them to spiral. Joker gets beat up a lot. It's not your fault your life sucks. It's the fault of society.
So when Joker shot 3 guys, that wasn't a choice. When Joker was killed by that one guy, that wasn't a choice. Or when Joker shot Murray, that wasn't a choice. Sure.
It wears its influences on its sleeve. It's not really subtle at all. That doesn't mean it doesn't have good elements, because it certainly does. Joaquin Phoenix's performance is terrific. It was a nice change of pace to see a superhero film that looked like a real movie. Wasn't infested with CGI. The lighting wasn't all flat and boring. I just overall think it's pretty mediocre.
How did you mention all these things and still miss the point? Only you, Ralph.
And I really wanted to delve into like the themes and explore this film a bit because maybe there's something a bit more to it, but I honestly am just not even interested because I don't like the movie that much.
You see, Ralph, the problem isn't that you dislike the film, it's everything that comes after that that's the problem.
It's not a Jonathan Glazer film. It's not something I actually want to explore.
I saw that, Mouse. You think you can slip that one by me, but I think not.
It's a by-the-numbers copycat studio movie.
No, it isn't, but I feel as if you're gonna tell me anyway.
So I'm on a podcast. On that podcast, I said Joker was a good movie. I think I've said Joker is a good movie before. Yeah, so I'm gonna explain why I'm an idiot. But no, listen. I love movies. I love going to the movies. So I'm sitting down in the theater, I'm watching a Joker movie, and I enjoyed it. You know, I was enjoying it because I'm sitting down in a movie theater watching a movie. But there's more to a film than your initial impression of a film than when you see it.
Oh God, we're going down this path.
Like when you watch Citizen Kane for the first time. If you're a moron, you go, that's boring. That's a boring movie.
Now remember this. It'll be important later down the line.
It was a lot like King of Comedy.
Yeah.
I see why you guys mentioned it.
You can already tell I'm more hopeful in this episode than I am now. I really just got beaten down by society.
Please tell me that was a joke. I can't tell anymore.
See, I just liked it because it was sad. But like, upon watching it multiple times, it's like, was there anything deeper going on in those parts? Not really. It's the surface level scene.
What do you mean? There's plenty good themes in this movie. A big one being mental illness and wealth inequality, etc. Also, you don't have to make this scene any longer than it is. I get the idea of what you're trying to do here, showing how your opinions have changed. Good. Congratulations, you did something good for once in this video. I must say, it's a bit longer than it needs to be, but other than that, it's fine.
Gotta love the score for this film too. The violins telling you how sad you're supposed to feel.
I think this is by far the weakest argument against this movie, because notice how the people who use the same criticism never say why it's bad. They just tell you it's bad and move on, never explaining why or elaborating on what they mean. Now, I'll try to do my best and explain why this soundtrack is amazing. Don't worry, it'll be quick. To the loud, to the calm, this soundtrack is great. It clearly uses a point in time where it's quiet and calm and relaxed and deep, to being loud and well done, giving you an uncomfortable feeling. They made this before the movie was made. In fact, they played this music while shooting the movie. Hell, I'm writing the script and listening to it. I don't think most people would understand how important the music is in this film. So next time somebody makes fun of this music, calling it creepy or etc., think of the arguments they're actually making.
That was corny.
How on earth was that corny? It was showing what happened when he was at the asylum rather than telling. You know, that important rule during storytelling?
Most of the valuable superhero IP is owned by Disney, and they're not going to do anything interesting with it. They put it through the same process they do with everything else. The Pixar movies, the animated movies like Frozen 2, the live-action movies like Aladdin, the new Star Wars movies.
What does this have to relate to Joker? And this is a recurring problem with this video. He seems obsessed with comparing it to other films. Now, this is natural. Joker takes a lot of inspiration from King of Comedy, Taxi Driver, just to name a few. But the way he goes about it seems in bad faith. This is a perfect example of it. He takes something that's completely unrelated to the topic and jams it in the video. And when it is relevant, he compares it in such a poor way that it makes his point muddled.
It's all straight out of the printer, and that is Warner Bros. Competition.
And that's why Joker's so good, because it's very different comic book wise.
So this isn't really like some masterful art film. It's a studio piece of crap disguised as a thoughtful character study. It's like a Transformer.
Nobody said this. Yes, it's like an art film because of the smaller budget compared to other movies and grounded setting, but that doesn't mean it is one. Again, another theme of this video is to invent arguments and or misinterpret them. A good example of this is his dream theory that he keeps mentioning. People think the ending is a dream. Now, are they right? Probably not. That isn't what makes this film good. It's just a theory. But Ralph sees this as something to attack, and because of this, Ralph distracts himself instead of actually making any points. This, of course, leads to the video in poor quality.
I understand that Joker is a breath of fresh air compared to this stuff, but that doesn't mean it's a great film. It doesn't stand on its own.
How? You haven't even proved anything yet. At best, you've shown me nitpicks and insults.
Warner Brothers gave this crew a lot of leeway to make this film, especially Joaquin, and I think that's why this film turned out as good as it did. Of course, I don't know what really happened. I don't know what's from the script. what's improvised scene by scene. But I have a feeling all of the worst stuff in this film is the stuff that came from the script. And all of the moments that were interesting and unique mainly came from Phoenix himself.
How do you know this for sure? I mean, I could be wrong, but are you really gonna take such a big gamble on that?
Because when I do see Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, every scene feels purposeful.
1. Explain why that's the case. 2. Why is changing something from the script bad? 3. Shut up about Taxi Driver. Doesn't help your points. It just gives me more questions.
And in this film, you have really corny, bad scenes.
How is it corny? Explain?
The whole Batman connection in this film was totally pointless.
No, just no. The reason why Batman's in this movie is that they're trying to show that they are different sides of the same coin. An example of this is the ending scene where Joker creates the Batman, where in the comics that's flipped. And besides, it isn't really that much of a problem. He only takes like 2 scenes in the actual movie.
If we're going to go with the whole theory that everything after the fridge is a dream...
Didn't you mention this point before? The script is all over the place. I'd say it's a rough draft, but even I've done better than this. Can you believe it? Me?
Is this guy supposed to be Alfred?
Yes. What's the problem with that? BTW. I love that EFAT meme.
Just because I have negative things to say about the film does not mean I hate the film. It does not mean I think it's a worthless film. I just don't think it's perfect. I don't think it deserves the Golden Lion. I don't think it's a masterpiece.
And that's okay, because this film isn't perfect, but the way you go about criticizing it is nonsensical. That's the problem people have with this video, not your opinion.
God, this movie's boring, isn't it, Rocky? It's so boring. Like when you watch Citizen Kane for the first time. If you're a moron, you go, that's boring. That's a boring movie. Wait, I got on the comment section of my show. You have the gall to criticize a movie like Joker? Fuck you.
First of all, you skip to the fuck you. Second, how does this help your argument? Just because there are some bad apples doesn't mean it gives you the right to do the same. Like how you've insulted your fans that think Joker was good by saying they all like BVS, when most, if not all, clearly think differently.
The gross overreaction to this film is hysterical. I get it's an amalgamation of things you liked from when you were 6 years old. You like the Joker cartoons, you like the Joker comic book, but really it's just an okay movie.
It's an okay movie? God, if this is how you treat an okay movie, I'd hate to see what you do to a bad one.
As far as the cinematography is concerned, I guess it's shot well, but it's not Barry Lyndon. It's not precise. There were better looking movies this year.
That doesn't mean Joker's cinematography is bad or any less than praise. All you have to do is give me a proper reason why you believe this. Is it the lighting that's poor, the colors that's lacking? Just give me a reason why.
The beginning of this movie is boring as hell.
You said the word that shouldn't have been spoken.
But then Joker starts having a laughing fit and has a card with his condition. And that part was okay, but then they have to play the sad violin music to remind you that this is a sad scene instead of just letting the scene end.
At least I've explained why it's good. You could at least do the minimum here and give me a good reason why you hate the music.
Something bad happens to Joker, they play some sad violin music.
Again, give me a reason why I should dislike it.
He just serves to be a father figure metaphor for Joker's story, and that's it. He doesn't actually have a character or wants, desires. Does he have a family? Like,
at this point, I was actually going to give up because how stupid this argument is. Not every character is going to be fleshed out completely. Some people in the movie just play a smaller role than others, and that's okay. A good example of this is the hero's journey, where the mentor figure, he or she, has the one purpose to help or train the protagonist. We don't need to know what the mentor had for coffee the other day. 1, it doesn't further the plot. 2, it's unnecessary.
oh, it's a parody. It's like Requiem for a Dream.
So everybody's heard about the super rats that are in Gotham
Hey,
now,
super
right?
rats, you know, fellas. Hey, it's easier to write jokes that are ironically bad instead of actually writing jokes that would be funny.
What? What? My brain.
I'm sorry, I think it's boring.
He said the word again. The word that cannot be spoken.
Like when you watch Citizen Kane for the first time. If you're a moron, you go, that's boring. That's a boring movie. But I bet if Jared Leto had a full film to flesh out this character, it would have been better. Actually, I completely take that back.
Okay, there is a God.
This talented crew was able to bring some life into it. But when you remove them, and you look at the script and the story, and the heart of what this movie is trying to say, I think it's a lot of ideas kind of meshed together, and something is made of it, and it's definitely entertaining, but it's ultimately a combination of a bunch of other different movies.
How? It's the most consistent movie I've seen. It has the simple premise of start off not crazy and bad, end crazy and bad. Everything else is fluff or icing on a cake.
So let's say the whole ending is a dream.
We're back to the dream thing again. This is the most unorganized script I've seen. First time, good. Second time, okay. Third time, unneeded and poorly executed.
This could easily just be because he killed his mother and not because of anything else that happened. Wow, how brilliant. I can't believe I didn't get the movie. What a boring narrative.
Somebody should make a video about how many times he says it's boring. What? Do you think I was gonna do it? Come on, man, I've got better things to do, like make lengthy Respawn videos for no reason.
Hey, come here. It's okay. It's okay.
Question, why would you put this in the video?
On a deeper level, what the film is trying to say about society.
Sounds like a bunch of shit to me.
It's weird because at some points I think he understands the backlash, but at others his ego blinds him.
Look, I saw a film that won the Golden Lion, even though it's fucking on pajamas.
What does this have to do with anything? The movie is completely different from the pajamas. So class, what have we learned? First, have a well-organized script, that way you're not talking randomly about things multiple times. Second, don't insult your fan base, especially when you're talking about getting harassed. Third, don't compare art forms in a way that doesn't help your argument, if not just for comparison's sake, even when it doesn't make sense. 4, always, always, always check your facts, whether it be for small things or simple things or important ones. 5, don't overly nitpick. There's a thin line a creator has to walk between overly nitpicking and not enough nitpicking. 6. Go after arguments, not theories. 7. Properly balance humor and analysis. Let them work together, not fight against each other. And finally, treat the art form you're talking about with the quality you think it deserves, not what other people thinks it deserves. This is the part of the video where I say how hard it was. Woe me, the life of a YouTuber is hard. I thank you for getting to the end of the pack, and of course the videos above me, you can see them, have fun, watch some other ones if you want to, enjoy the channel, and of course I did my flip, and Hitler daddy ooh woo. Hitler did nothing wrong. Don't take that out of context.